Lee Carter is joining us now. She is Maslansky Partners President. There were obviously some emotional moments like that. There was also Michelle Obama capping off the night and getting strong reviews. But Lee, people aren't voting for Michelle Obama, much as they might like to be. They're not. And so is all of this going to be enough to really judge the enthusiasm for the candidate who is the candidate, Joe Biden?
I think it's a really, really fair question. I mean, first of all, Michelle Obama was the standout performance of last night, and Joe Biden should be very, very grateful to her. She did an amazing, amazing job despite the conditions. That said, last night, I don't think did a whole lot to help Joe Biden. What it did do is continue to make the case on why Donald Trump is, in their opinion, one of the worst things that could happen to America. Now, that case has been made for the last 4 years. Most voters who are open to Joe Biden or supporting right now agree with that position. The job of the convention, the job of what people need to be doing right now is painting a picture of what Joe Biden is going to be doing for America. When you think about what is the difference between today and what is the difference if Joe Biden were president, we need to be very clear on that. We haven't gotten specifics. We haven't heard why people are endorsing Joe Biden beyond the fact that he is not Donald Trump. That he is somebody that you could work with, that he's somebody that people like. That's not enough, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many voters who I've spoken with, who are really eager to find out what are the policies, what are the things that he is going to do that's going to make a difference in this moment. Because America's divided, America's hurting. People are pessimistic about the economy. People are pessimistic about where we stand in the world. But what is Joe Biden really going to do about it that's different? We haven't heard any of that yet.
Adam, you're having a muting moment.
Lee, I think a lot of us are skeptical when we hear people talk about the political conventions or the conventions. It's almost like going to the movie Titanic over and over again, expecting them not to hit the iceberg. Nothing really surprises you at a convention. So who is this really going to convince? If you're an undecided voter at this point, really?
Yeah, I mean, look, there are plenty of people actually out there who are, I think, still undecided about what they're going to do. Now, there are many, many Trump supporters who were very, very excited about Trump before or less excited about him now, but are still saying, you know what, I don't know if I could vote for Joe Biden. What's going to happen to my taxes? What's going to happen to the economy under Joe Biden? I'm worried about some of these things. And that's something that they need to answer. The independent voter out there is still very, very confused about what the difference is between these two candidates. It's not enough just to condemn Donald Trump. That's been done by itself. If you look at polling, you can see where Donald Trump stands. If you look at where people who are on the fence about where they're going to vote, they already agree that Donald Trump is imperfect in many ways. What they want to see is what's going to be different. And so I think there are a fair number of people out there who are at play. And, you know, conventions are really for political insiders. It's for all of us sort of political geeks who get excited about this whole thing. But these sound bites live on. And the question I can't help but ask is that moment last night, which was very, very powerful and very, very poignant. But when that woman said, the only pre-existing condition my father had was supporting Donald Trump, what does that do? Because that's what's going to play over and over again. We're going to hear these kinds of sound bites over and over again. We'll hear some of the condemning of Donald Trump over and over again. But what we want to hear is a sound bite that's going to sum up what does Joe Biden and Kamala Harris look like if they're in charge? How do we feel better? What specifically is that going to mean for pocketbooks? What is that specifically going to mean for the tenor of this country? Are we going to be less divided if they're in office? Based on what I heard last night, I'm not so sure that that's going to be the case.
Lee, I want to push back against this notion a little bit that people really want granular policies. I mean, do people really vote on policy, or do they vote with how they feel about the particular candidates, right? I mean, I know that you've looked into this stuff, so I'm curious how much it actually factors into the decision making.
I mean, Julie, you raised a really good point. Are people really looking at the details of the granular policy? No. But there's usually a message around what kinds of policies we're talking for. Most winners of the presidential election have run on some kind of a signature policy that we all remember what it's about. Barack Obama ran on healthcare and Obamacare, and that was something that's very important. It was something that he accomplished. Donald Trump ran on immigration, building a wall, getting tough on China, and bringing jobs back to this country. Wasn't big on specifics, but you knew what it was all about. Joe Biden is fighting for the soul of America and building back better. But what does that look like exactly? What is he going to do differently? The one policy that we've heard about is mandating masks for 3 months, and that's important. He has put out a tax policy. It is very wonky. How does he make it so that it is an up-level message that's simple for all of us to understand and repeat? What is going to be different about a Joe Biden, Kamala Harris presidency than what we have today? I think it's a really important thing that you simplify and message it so that we all understand it.
Lee, I think one thing that has been made clear, at least to me over this time, is that Trump has not been trying to necessarily expand his base at all. Whereas looking at the DNC's first night yesterday, it was really fascinating to me to see a lot of the montages, a lot of the B-roll that really captured the heartlands, if you will, really trying to prove that this is not sort of a cluster of elite Ivy League degreed Democrats who are sitting in their golden thrones, right? Was that something that stood out to you? Do you feel like that strategy of really trying to appeal to Trump's base, at least even in the sentiment side of things, is that going to work out here?
I think it's the right idea. I'm not sure it was the best execution. I'm not sure that we're going to remember any of those moments. We're going to remember some of the other moments much, much more. I'm not sure those moments were produced enough so that it makes us feel like this is a party that's big enough for all of us. That's not what I would take away from everything that I saw last night, but I think that's an important message that they get out there, because there is a feeling very much that it is the liberal elite that is about this, and this isn't the party for all people. And I agree with you. I think Donald Trump hasn't done anything to expand his base, and I'm not sure what his message is in this moment. He was very clear about his message 4 years ago. What his message is right now is very, very defensive, and it's launching a lot of attacks. We need to hear next week what his story is this time, because it's not enough for him to say, make America great again and run on his track record, because there's a lot of concern about what's happened, especially recently. His handling of COVID is wildly unpopular. People are very concerned about the economy, and that's something he's usually pulled very, very well on. So he's going to have to make his case rather than just reacting. But both parties right now are being very reactive to the other, and I don't think that's a smart strategy. You can always tell who's winning by the party who is reacting. And right now, they're both reacting to each other rather than setting forward a leadership strategy. And what we want right now as Americans is a leader who's going to take us through this and help us rise above this moment. It's a really tough moment for Americans. We are really pessimistic. And no one right now is coming to the table and saying, you know what, here's a vision that's going to make our way out of it. And that's, whoever is able to do that is the candidate that's going to win. But I'm just not seeing it in this moment.
Lee, Dan Roberts here. Just as the DNC speakers mostly just hammering home that Trump hasn't been doing a good job isn't enough, in your view, has Biden laying low been enough of a campaign strategy? I mean, it's been an interesting conversation we've seen over the last few months of, Biden really hasn't been out there. Of course, that's because of the pandemic. But a lot of people counter that by saying, well, actually, his campaign approach can basically just be, I'm not Trump, let's end this and not have 4 more years. What more could he or should he be doing in terms of actual active campaigning during this time?
I think his strategy has been a pretty interesting one, because a lot of times when Joe Biden is out there, he gets criticized for making gaffes or for other things, or he hasn't fully formed exactly what it is he wants to talk. So I think that in many ways, it wasn't that. I think it was a smart strategy to lay low, but what he needs to do now is come out strong. What he needs to now is come out strong with a clear message, an exciting message, and make us all hopeful again. Because let's be honest, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat right now, you don't feel good about this country. The polling on that across the board is some of the all-time low. So Joe Biden laying low, I think smart strategy up till now, but now every time he comes out and talks, he needs to hit it out of the park. He's had the time to prepare. He's had the time to come up with a clear message. He's had a time to bring us together. And now's his time to shine, and he's got to do it.
We can all agree 2020 is a bummer. Now what? Lee Carter,
exactly.
Thank you so much. Maslansky Partners President. Really great perspective. Hope to see you again soon. Thanks, Lee.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. Thanks so much.